Hey there, I'm Karla Ehlers. I'm a pelvic health occupational therapist, and today we're going to talk about female pelvic anatomy. So let's dive in. This material is for educational purposes only and not medical advice. All right, so we're going to first get started on talking about the pelvic floor. There's just not enough education provided to women about what is going on in our pelvic space. So, first, we're going to start off with this is your pelvic floor. And the biggest thing that you need to know is that there are 3 layers to our pelvic floor, in addition to 3 different functions that we're really going to focus on. The first function that we talk about is elimination. So, our bowel and bladder. The pelvic floor helps with eliminating and even holding in this bowel and bladder function. So you have to be able to relax and release our pelvic floor muscles to be able to empty and for the muscles to also have strength to hold everything in. Number 2 is intimacy. The pelvic floor muscles contract and relax when we're having an orgasm. So that dance of the muscles is really important. That coordination of the muscles is important. The third is organ protection and being able to be strong and buoyant when we're walking, running, doing different activities, lifting, being able to protect those organs within our pelvic space. And in addition to from a nervous system perspective as well, when we are having some sort of threat, those muscles can also tense up to protect us. And so we're going to go into a few of these muscles. You don't have to learn all of them or anything, but I love this picture to just kind of show how this is kind of like a pelvic bowl, and all of these muscles around in our pelvic space are contributing to all of these functions. So we're first going to talk about this muscle called the puborectalis, and this is a muscle that's in pink here all around, and this is going to help us with being able to hold in our bowels and being able to let go and release. And so if you've ever heard of a squatty potty or putting your feet up on a stool, this is why. So when we are just sitting at 90 degrees like this pink muscle around here, this puborectalis, this is your urethra, your vaginal opening, and your rectum right here. And so this muscle, as we're just sitting in 90 degrees, it is on a kink. And so by elevating the knees up, it helps to straighten it out a little bit and to allow feces to go through the rectum to expel and have a bowel movement. So that is one muscle that is really important and that I like to talk about, and that's going to kind of get us started with this presentation. And so this puborectalis, if we're zoomed in a little bit more here, up at the top here, this is your bladder, your uterus, and then the rectum. And this puborectalis muscle right here, see how it's pulling up against this rectum here. And so as we want to, when we're sitting, the knees are elevated more, it's going to help to put on a slack so that rectum has more space to empty. Okay, this picture is looking at the pelvis from underneath, kind of looking up. And so I really like to show this because it shows how our tailbone here comes down and how close in proximity it is to our rectum, our external anal sphincter here. You can see that is a muscle around our rectum, our anus, and we have control over that muscle. We can contract, we can relax it. And then here is the vaginal opening and the urethra. Something else I like to show on this photo is this piriformis muscle. And this is a really important muscle. A lot of people have sciatica because that sciatic nerve runs from L4 to SS1, those nerve roots, and if there is impingement of that sciatic nerve in this piriformis muscle, it can cause some pain in the deep glute region, some different sensory changes and tingling all down the leg. And so this just really highlights how this muscle connects to your femur here in your hip joint. And so if we are constantly like externally rotated with our posture, you can see how this piriformis muscle can get shortened and tightened, and can cause some compression to that sciatic nerve. What else? So this also, I like this photo because this is the backside, right, of our pelvis, the spine here. And it just shows that if we do ever have any kind of tailbone injury or fall on your tailbone, you're sitting constantly, like these muscles can just get so very tight and cause some discomfort as well. All right, so let's dive into the vulva. So the vulva is your external genitalia on a female anatomy. And so it involves this mons pubis, which is right above your pubic bone. It's just kind of this fleshy padded area. This can also consist of the clitoral hood, which is some skin over the clitoris. And this is an area that can kind of get some adhesions and can just kind of get tight. And if you're having any sort of pain in this area, we want to try to kind of mobilize that clitoral hood and get some movement, blood flow to that area. So the clitoris is really important. We'll get into that a little bit more, but this is our area for arousal and sensations. We'll get into that a little bit more next. The inner labia and the outer labia. So it's good to know that our labia are all different sizes, and it's good to understand that not to feel self-conscious of it, not to feel shameful of the different size or anything like that. We're all made differently, and that's not something to really feel shame about, because that is something I hear from a lot of women. So the inner outer labia is a part of your vulva, and this is really good to, I talk about this in my self-paced workshop, taking a mirror, looking at your genitalia, okay, like checking it out, seeing if there's the coloring of it, if there is any sort of redness or discomfort, we're checking that out. And it's good to know proper hygiene for this space too. We don't need to be using all these different sort of soaps and fragrances. Those are going to throw off your pH, which can cause different issues down here. So making sure you are thoroughly cleaning this area in the shower with just warm water and using your hands or a washcloth, and just really gently washing the labia well. Next is the urethra. This is the small space that you are literally peeing out of. We do have muscles around the urethra that we have control over, and when there is some weakness to these muscles, it can also cause some leaking of urine. Next is the vaginal opening. This is where you'll maybe insert a tampon if you're menstruating, penetrative intercourse, or even when you have a baby, have a vaginal birth. The baby comes through this vaginal opening. Okay, next is this perineum. This is the space between the vaginal opening and the anus, and it is an area that is commonly torn with vaginal birth. And so then next is the space of the anus. All right, so this is part of the clitoris, and just in the last photo, we just saw this little red part of the clitoris. And so just knowing that is the external part that we see, and then internally we have all of this other area, and same for men. This is more internal, as far as like the yellow crus area in the bulbs. So all made for pleasure and sensations, and there's like 10,000 sensory nerves in the clitoris, which is amazing. Like, this is literally made for pleasure and having erotica, and like this is what it's made for. It's for us to have pleasure. So I just think that this is a good photo to see. That's what's going on more internally, because we don't really see this part. But next photo is, so when we become more aroused, these top two photos are what we see, or what we don't see. This is more internal. Things do get have increased swelling, increased blood flow, which is all really good for this tissue to have when we become aroused, okay? And so we can see, compared to at rest, this doesn't have as much swelling, but compared to when we do become aroused, look at all this nice increased movement here, blood flow to this area, all really good, healthy tissue. Now, this is more so on the external, what we can actually see. When we do become aroused, it does have this increase in swelling and just nice, healthy tissue, getting good blood flow, good circulation to this area. So this is just what I wanted to show you that happens when we do become aroused. There is some increase in swelling and blood flow to this area, which is all natural and good for us to do. Okay, so the big thing with pelvic floor muscle understanding is that there are basically three layers to our pelvic floor. So this first layer is the most superficial, meaning like closest to the skin. So this is looking upward. So we're from the down looking up. So we have our spine and then the front of our pubic bone. So we're looking upward. We don't need to completely learn all of these muscles or anything, but it's just to show you that we want to understand that these layers. Okay, so this first layer is where your anal opening is. So this is that external anal sphincter, and this is the muscle where we do have control. If we want to contract or relax it, we do have control over that. This other muscle, this bulbar cavernosus, it goes around the vaginal opening here and around the urethral opening. Okay, so this can also be good for being able to hold in urine and relax to be able to expel urine right when we need to. I think that's all I really wanted to show on that. Layer 2 is focused more on this urethral area. And I thought this was just a cool photo to see how our vaginal canal works with the rest of our body. And so you see how the urethra, this is where we urinate out of. It's right on top of that vaginal canal, right? And so this urethra comes back and it's connected to the bladder, right? And we have this detrusor muscle around it that's going to help with contracting and relaxing the muscle. So this is layer 2 of the pelvic floor. So as we are being able to close and lift those pelvic floor muscles and then relax, this layer 2 is just kind of a little bit deeper of a contraction. And if any of this doesn't make sense, I go over all of this in my self-paced workshop. But I just think this is a really cool photo to kind of see this vaginal canal. And, if there is anybody that's had some kind of pelvic organ prolapse, in particular, like with the bladder, like a cystocele, it's important to know that this bladder is just kind of pushing down into the vaginal canal. The bladder is not actually coming out of the vaginal canal. It's just due to the tissues being more lax. But yeah, layer 2. Layer 3, we've kind of seen this photo already earlier. These are the deeper muscles of the pelvic floor. So this is that really deep contraction when we're working on that. And we see the piriformis. And I think this is cool to see in regards to the tailbone, how this this anal canal is right here with the vagina and then the urethra. And so the deeper contraction that we can have, we are activating more of these muscles. But also, if we're holding a lot of tension here too, this can affect our bowel and bladder as well. So let's see. Next, we have this is just a photo of the vaginal canal that connects to the uterus, and then the fallopian tubes and the ovaries. Now, this is important to know that this is a nice photo, and it looks like there's so much space here, but actually these are all very much more in closer proximity, squished together. But I think that this is just important to see, like, this is the vaginal canal where we're maybe inserting a tampon, or if you are pregnant, the baby is going to go through this vaginal canal during birth, or also like with penetration. So side view here, this is really cool. So this is the front, and we talked about the vulva earlier, right on the bottom here. And then here is the bladder, and then the uterus, vaginal canal right here, and then the rectum. And this is really important to see that the spine, like, look, it's all towards the back here, how close everything is. So if we are having any kind of low back, tailbone issues, we are more than likely potentially having some GI bowel issues as well. This is a cool photo I like to just show to see, like, when women are pregnant, see how this baby is really sitting on top of this bladder right here, right? And so it's no wonder when women are pregnant, they have to go to the bathroom a lot, because there is a lot of pressure right there on that bladder. Okay, so the baby is inside the uterus, right? In that uterus, there's the cervix, and then the vaginal canal is right here. And then also here is the rectum. And so it's no wonder when women are also pregnant that they have some issues maybe with constipation, because everything is kind of so cramped in there. Or they might also have low back pain, because look at the spine right here. There's just a lot of pressure on that low back, especially if the front abdomen is kind of weaker due to baby stretching out that whole abdominal tissue. It's not supporting that low back as much, so that can cause some back pain too. Okay, so that is just a short little rundown of this female pelvic anatomy. If you want to learn more about your pelvic health, I have a self-paced online workshop called Breathing to Connect to Your Pelvic Floor. You can check it out at my website, occupelvichealth.com. Follow me on Instagram, occupelvichealth. And I just want to say one more thing, kind of a little advocacy for occupational therapy, because a lot of people don't know what that is. So what is occupational therapy? Occupation is the everyday activities that people do as individuals and families, communities, to occupy their time and bring meaning and purpose to life. So just think about that. What are things that are meaningful to you? And if you're having some sort of pelvic health issue of leaking, pelvic pain, there's a whole slew of things that can affect our purpose and bring meaning. If you can't go run with your kids, if you can't go to work because of different pelvic pains or bowel bladder issues. And then occupations are also what people need to do, want to do, or expected to do. So if we, what we need to do, we have to be able to go to the bathroom efficiently, right? Otherwise, game over, right? That is a natural thing our bodies have to be able to do. And I see this so much in my clients, like this toileting routine truly can affect your everyday occupations of maybe going to school, going to work, intimacy with your spouse, or, your own lifestyle. So what are these pelvic health issues truly affecting your everyday occupations? So occupations are also meaningful, unique, individualized, purposeful, and valuable to that person. So we're really doing a deep dive into how are these things, as far as your pelvic health, pelvic floor dysfunctions, this pain that you might be having, how is this truly affecting your unique self, your daily routines that you personally have to go through, because everyone is so different. And, we don't, that is my main purpose, is to not help my main purpose is to help people like not be held back by these pelvic health issues, to find this meaning in your day, find this meaning in your activities, to truly live the life that you're supposed to. So that's a little rundown on occupational therapy, and I hope you enjoyed this presentation, and I'll talk to you later.